Thank you so much for joining us. We are at WTM in London. I'm Noah Charney, your host today. And as an American expat in love with Slovenia and having lived there for more than 10 years, one of the things I love about the country is how engaged people are with the outdoors. People hike so much on weekends that you can find a restaurant at the top of a mountain that you basically can't get to with a car. And I love that about Slovenia, and I've become far more outdoorsy since I've been a resident of this beautiful country, and I'm always encouraging people who move there to get in touch with the outdoors and to come for hiking-related tourism, and that's what we're talking about now. And I'm joined by Tit Potočnik, Director of Triglav National Park, Klemen Langus, Director of Bohinj Tourism, and Rudolf Abraham, a multi-award-winning travel writer and photographer. And I'm also joined by Trevor Claringbold, Creative Director, welcome, of Globetrotter Television, which does documentary series that are about hiking. So to begin with, Klemen, you once described tourism in Bohinj as living room tourism, and I love this idea. Could you tell us what you mean by that?
Well, it's not just for Bohinj. Everybody nowadays is talking about a sustainable tourism, sustainability, responsible tourism, responsibility, regenerative tourism, green tourism, and it's sometimes very difficult for me to understand what does it all mean, all these expressions. So we came to this idea that actually our destination is like a living room I refurbish for myself because I live there, and the people who live there, we have chosen the colors, we chosen the furniture because that we feel comfortable in it. And then we invite people to our destination, our guests, our friends, our colleagues. And in Slovenia, they usually come with maybe a gift, or they even take their shoes off before they enter my living room. And they are amazed how I organize my living room. And during the evening, with some glass of good wine and good food, a new ideas emerge between both of us that can enrich myself and my living room, and also the guests, my friends who are there. And they go back to their home thinking, okay, maybe I can do the same as Klemen has done in his living room. And I am reached by their ideas, and they say, okay, Klemen, did you think maybe you can change the colors of your walls here? And I say, yes, maybe a good idea. So it's this combination, it's this balance between the guests and myself. And in my living room, there are some rules that must be followed also by my guest. This is one thing of this living room. This is how I understand the sustainable way of tourism. And the second thing is that tourism is codependent industry. When organizing, when furnishing the living room, I'm not an electrician. I don't know nothing about it. I even don't know nothing about how to paint the walls, etc. So I need these friends, these colleagues to help me with organizing, with furnishing my living room. So codependence is for tourism something that is for me very, very, very important. And there is something I can do on my own, but something where I need this help, this assistance. So this is, I think, it's very maybe basic understanding of sustainability of tourism, but it's quite easy to understand, and that's why the idea actually came to life some years ago. And all what we do, and we're going to discuss today with the trails we are doing, is actually responding the idea of the living room.
I love that idea because it promotes mutual respect, and that locals will be welcoming to tourists, and there's an expectation that the tourists will respect the locality, and the locals will be welcoming as they would a guest into their home, even if they're welcoming them into the country or into the natural world within that country. So today we're talking about, in particular, two elaborate hiking trails. And one of them is called the Juliana Trail, and one is the Alpe Adria Trail. Tit, could you maybe tell us what's the difference between the two, and where do the trails begin and end?
Hello to everybody. So what I have to add to what Klemen has said is that Klemen is Director of Tourism in Bohinj. And Bohinj is one of 10 municipalities in the Julian Alps. So Julian Alps Biosphere Reserve, it's a UNESCO program, Man and Biosphere, from the year 1972. And Biosphere Reserve Julian Alps is the oldest biosphere reserve in Slovenia. It is from 2003, and Triglav National Park is represents the core and buffer zone of the biosphere reserve, and the transition zone is the area around the national park. So we are talking about 10 municipalities which are connected with the same idea. The idea is to have the identity of the biosphere reserve, which the basic thing is searching for the balance between man and nature. So we are here not talking only about tourism, we are talking about the culture, we are talking about agriculture, what is connected with food. So it's all then connected with nature protection, quality of living in inhabitants, like it was said, and also that the visitors get the expectation which they demand. So that's why a product, Juliana Trail, was done to achieve all these goals. So from the matter of nature protection, that visitors avoid the quiet zones, so that we help population of animals which can live and reproduce themselves without any interference. Then the second one is the quality of living in inhabitants. We do not want to have too many hotspots. That's why Juliana Trail is based to avoid the hotspots, but to give the visitors the expectation, the experience which they expect. So with the beautiful views and a trail which is not too hard, so it is for everybody. And the third thing also is then the difference with the Alpe Adria Trail. So Alpe Adria Trail is not only in the biosphere reserve Julian Alps, but it's a longer trail which is connecting Alps with the Adriatic Sea. So basically there are two touristic products. But I can see as Juliana Trail a product which is more involving all stakeholders which are in a certain area, and which is produced for all these three goals which I was telling you before. About the Alpe Adria Trail, Klemen, maybe also from your side to add something, or from...
Well, we can ask someone who's
Yeah.
done it. Actually.
Okay, definitely.
So one of the things I love about the Alpe Adria Trail is it actually covers a cross-border initiative. So it runs from Austria through Slovenia to Italy. Rudolf, you've hiked both the Alpe Adria Trail and the Juliana Trail, and you know it very intimately because you've written books about them. Actually, can we see, this is the book about the Juliana Trail, a little strategic product placement.
Very nice.
Maybe you could tell us about what it's like to hike each of these trails, and if you have maybe one story from each that you might like to share.
So my experience with hiking bits of both of these trails goes back about 25 years to when I first visited Slovenia. And after that I lived in Zagreb for a couple of years, and any of my spare time was usually go and hike somewhere in Slovenia, go and try and climb Jalovac, go and hike on Mali Mojstrovka and end up climbing it the wrong way around from the wrong side, which was a bad idea. I wrote my first guidebook, my first book, which was a hiking guide. Next year will be 20 years ago. And the Alpe Adria Trail Commission came to me sort of from knowing that, you know, it being an area that I specialized in. And when that had been published, the Alpe Adria one, the Klemen came up to me at an event and said, you know, we're planning this new trail, and this is what it's like, and it's going to be amazing, and you'll really like it. So I went and hiked some of the bits that I didn't know from beforehand, and got a commission from Cicerone very very quickly to do the book. And they're both, you know, really nice, accessible trails, which is one of the reasons that I like them. But they both tie in so many so many different sides of the country and of the region, whether it's tying in these sort of amazing landscapes with wonderful food and amazing history, and very different sides of history from sort of the Socha front, the World War I front on one bit of the of both trails, of both the Juliana and the Alpe Adria, to medieval castles and a history of mining and ironworks.
So Trevor, you've also hiked the Alpe Adria Trail, but your company specializes in making documentary film series about hiking trails. And can you tell me a little bit about how you chose the Alpe Adria Trail and what it was like to film this series?
Yeah, it chose us, really. I think it all actually started right here at World Travel Market. We learnt about the trail. We'd been looking to start a series called Hiking Europe. We broadcast on Sky, on Amazon Prime and so forth. And it just seemed like the perfect trail because, as you say, it transcends 3 countries. It transcends mountains to flatlands, to geologically important places, to castles, beautiful towns, and the sea as well. So from a television perspective, it's got everything. Hiking it to film for television isn't the easiest thing to do. If you watch it on television, you'll see our presenter hiking with her little backpack and nice and easy. What you don't see is us coming along behind with cameras, backpacks, tripods, up and down the same mountains. But I have to say, as a trail, the Alpe Adria, and particularly the Slovenian section, is a joy because not even every day is different. Every time you come out of a little group of trees, you're greeted with a different view. Every time you come around a lakeside, there's another town to explore. The people along the way are fantastic that you meet as well, which they're also encouraging. They help. We actually spoke to a lot of other hikers along the route, and they were all telling us the same thing, that the people that live there want the hikers to enjoy it and get the most out of it. So they're pointing to, go and look around that corner, or go down there, you'll get a better view, or, all these extra little things that makes you feel you're really part of something bigger than just another hiking trail. It was long days. It's hard, obviously, with all the equipment, but I don't think any of us felt that it was too much or too tiring. It's a really well-marked trail. It's an easy trail to follow, whatever your hiking ability. You can take it at your own pace. Every day is done as a stage, with plenty of time to go and see other things that are there, and there's plenty there. And I think whether you're a beginner or whether you're an experienced hiker, it's a perfect trail to go and walk. And yeah, the audience that we've had watching it on television, the feedback we've had is fantastic. People ask us, actually one of the biggest questions is, can you do part of the trail? Do you have to do it all? And I think it's important that people realise, of course, you can go and do one stage, you can go and do 10 stages while you're on your holidays, and then go back the following year and pick up from where you left off and go from there. So, for us as broadcasters, but just as people who love travelling and love being outdoors, couldn't have asked for better.
So here's a question for you, Rudolf. What do you look for in a good hiking trail? And what does Slovenian trails have that appeal to you, that make them particularly enjoyable?
Well, first there's there's the landscape, the nature, the people, all of the things which make it this, a beautiful, rewarding, enriching area to hike in. Also, the trails, as Trevor said, they're really well marked, and you have everything from quite easy, very accessible trails to if you want a hard trail, there are plenty of those as well, and also it's this unofficially it's this Alpe Adria region, if you like, and one of the things that made me like the Julian Alps and the Alpe Adria Trail and the Juliana Trail is this sort of mix of cultures, and the fact that that's celebrated. So, you have the Alpe Adria Trail, which crosses 3 countries, and in the middle is a loop which sort of ties in a little knot within those three countries. And instead of everyone trying to say, we're different and this is us, it was this sort of celebration of what actually makes us all, or makes the people there. It's a celebration of similarities rather than differences, and it's just it's a nice way of looking at a region. It's something that maybe we all need a bit more of in the world. So those are some of the things that that keep drawing me back to Slovenia.
That's lovely. I'm not sure which of you this question is for, but I'm curious how a trail gets chosen, the logistics of deciding, okay, we're going to make the Juliana Trail. Where's it going to be? What's that process like? I don't know which of you would like to answer.
We began like 6 or 7, or maybe 8 years ago, when the Triglav National Park has kind of began with a new development plan for biosphere reserve, and I was at the time a lot of visiting the different fairs around Europe, and I came to this idea: let's have this long distance trail also in our region. But then later I was informed actually that this idea actually is already 30 years old, and it was done by Janez Bizjak, who was a long-time director of Triglav National Park. So we just revived the idea. Then we began to work with some European money to develop trail with the local communities who went around. All stages were prepared, digitalized, etc., etc. So it was a process which were going on for maybe around 2 years. I would say so. And at the end, it was established. It was designed, set up, and it was for us a big step forward. The importance of the Juliana Trail was not just that we are creating a new tourist product, but we also wanted to have a tool to answer different questions of modern tourism or development in the area. First of all, the Juliana Trail connected us, like Tit said before. There is 10 municipalities, 10 egos, so to say. They're very well-known tourism destination like Bled and Sočavel and Kranjska and Bohinj, and this is 10 mayors, and this is 6 directors of local tourism board. It's where all kind of being this is my Bled is before Bohinj and Bohinj is before Bled, more or less fighting all the time. But in our hearts we are friends, and this was the first goal of Juliana Trail, and it's really it shows us now after 5 years that it is a platform for our collaboration. The second thing is that Juliana Trail should answer some question. Like I said, the Juliana Trail aims to change our attitudes towards the biodiversity of the area, should encourage more people to do not just tourism but also agriculture, should encourage people to use more of public transportation, should influence the negative demography of the area, and these are all, and it could be proven nowadays. There is a small part of it, Rudolf knows this, it's called Baška Grapa, pod Brdo, it's one of the village. There were no apartments 5 years ago there, but there are now at least 3 apartments new because of Juliana Trail. And then maybe we'll persuade people, especially young people, they will decide to stay in the area, maybe to work remote, I don't know, in Ljubljana, they educated people, of course they cannot find maybe a good jobs in the area, but they maybe I don't know, maybe they will work even in Munich, I don't know, traveling to Munich once a week, but they will stay their home because of the Juliana. They will maybe establish a small farm with 2-3 goats or cow, maybe 1 cow, and they will help us to maintain the cultural landscape, which is so important for the product. So it's actually a circle economy that is also happening through and because of the Juliana Trail.
My next question is, how do you go about best promoting hiking tourism? So obviously one way is if we watch one of your shows, Trevor, that's a wonderful promotion. If we see a magazine feature with your photos and your text, that's a wonderful promotion. But what are some other ways to encourage people to come to a place like Slovenia in order to do a hiking holiday?
I think a lot of it is storytelling, and I mean that in the sense of you've got to understand where you are and translate that so that it resonates with people. I think one of the great things about Alpe Adria particularly, there's the app that goes with it, there's guidebooks and you know, of all kinds. Wherever you went on the trail, you felt like you were part of that environment, and not just a natural environment, but with people as well. So you might be visiting a vineyard or an olive grove where people, that's their everyday work. A lot of it straddles the border between Italy and Slovenia, and of course in the past, as you can see by those trenches there, you know, that wasn't a friendly border. Now there's new roads, new links, new bridges, new partnerships. So I think telling people those stories and realizing that there's more than just walking a trail, telling them about what they're walking through. You know, there's parts of the route that are following old Roman roads in some places that walk across areas where you would never have been able to walk, you know, 100 years ago. So I think bringing it to life for any trail is the way to do it, and showing people that anyone can do it. You know, there are, as you said, there are some hard parts, there are some parts which are very easy, but if you show people, look, you know, come and do what you can do. You don't have to do all of it. You don't have to do the hardest parts. Come and do the bits that you're comfortable with. Learn about what's around you, meet the people, and just enjoy being outside. You know, there's this whole thing about being an outdoor person these days, getting that exercise. If you bring that home to people that anyone can do it and you get a lot more from it than just the exercise, I think that's an important part of it. So, anything to add, Rudolf?
I think that sums it up, you know, rather well, but yeah, I haven't got anything to add to that now. Sorry, that's all. You know, it is nice to encourage people to get out into the outdoors and just to, you know, to make it more accessible. You know, I've hiked on bits of both trails with a 7-year-old. I've seen people going with you know, babies in carriers. I've seen people of all ages to do it, and I've seen people going back year after year. So I met when I was researching the Juliana book. We bumped into an Australian couple who were hiking the bit that overlaps with the Alpe Adria Trail, and we met, as happens. We met later in the day. Met the same evening at the same accommodation. They said, so, you know, what do you do? Oh, I write guidebooks. Oh, really? What do you do? I said, well, this one. And they were like, oh, this is you. And then it turned out, you know, they'd come to Australia and the previous year, hiked the first half of the Alpe Adria. They liked it so much that they came back and did the second half. And I told them, oh, I'm doing this. And so they came back and did the Juliana this year. And they, you know, there were other people who would be doing, you know, a few days on the trail. You can split it into four holidays. So it's it's something that anyone can do, really. Yeah. Yeah.
Just to let you know, one of the people that we met along the way, a German girl who was hiking it solo, the whole length of it in one go. She set herself a target, or she had a target set. She had 44 days to do it because her brother was going to meet her at the end, and he said, if you're late, there's no lift back to Germany. So it's like, so yeah, a lot of characters along the way, and I think that's good. She's off actually in Tanzania now, hiking out there. That was her first long distance trail, and it's encouraged her to go and start doing more. So yeah, I think it's catching.
Well, this has been lovely. I think one of the things that keep in mind is that you meet the right sort of tourists on hiking holidays. That doesn't maybe sound, I didn't phrase that correctly, but they're the tourists we love to have who are engaged with nature and they're conscientious and they're interested and they're the kind that we would welcome into our living room. So I want to thank both of you for your work in mapping and promoting and encouraging people to come to these trails that pass through Slovenia, and for you for inviting us into your our living rooms collectively. Please do.
Maybe just one thing to add. So the fact is also that about the Juliana Trail, it's a very positive story because it was done with collaboration between tourism, and nature protection. So between tourism and national park. It means that the trail doesn't have any issues with the landowners, with the nature protection, and so it's really well accepted by all locals, but by visitors, by landowners, by people who work for the nature protection. So definitely a very positive story to also show to all people that we can cooperate, that we can communicate, and that also tourism can give a product with collaboration with the people who work in the nature protection area. And the thing which I have to also add is that we have a sister park in Snowdonia in Wales that is from 1994, and related to that in 1998 also at that time Prince of Wales visited Triglav National Park and the part of Juliana Trail. So now we know who he is. So King Charles visited in 1998. And definitely a part of Juliana Trail is also following the steps of King Charles. So maybe an interesting point to add. So also King was visiting the Juliana Trail.
That's great, and that's a great point to end on. Thank you so much once again. So please, next time you are considering a hiking outdoor holiday, think about coming to Slovenia. Maybe beforehand you're going to watch Trevor's series on hiking the Alpe Adria Trail. Definitely grab one of several guidebooks by Rudolf, and then come and hang out with Tit and Klemen in our living room. You are most welcome. Thank you.